Welcome back to our Christmas content advent calendar, where every single day through to the 24th of December, we've got a brand new video, tutorials, interesting stuff, all kinds of things. Today, we're diving into Lightroom. We've talked about moody photography already, but in today's video, we're going to talk about editing moody photos and different kind of things you can do to really get the best out of the mood, atmosphere in the photo. We're going to focus on portraits. I've got a portrait that you may have seen if you've watched our moody photography video. Let's just dive straight in. I've got this photo here of Matilda, my model, who I use in all kinds of videos. If you've ever watched a video, I'm sure you've seen her in one of them. Now, as I mentioned in the moody photography video, this photo was taken with the idea being I was going to capture the mood of the situation. So I've exposed mostly for the highlights, which means that there's parts of her face falling into shadows, parts of the background falling into shadows. We're going to really accentuate that. We're going to do a few things to kind of give it a slightly faded film effect, which I think is really cool. I think it's a really interesting way to edit your photos. We're going to do some stuff with the color, maybe bring the vibrancy down. Let's just dive straight in. Let's just get involved with the editing. So first and foremost, I'm going to pop the contrast up a little bit. I'm going to bring those highlights down, not too much, but just a touch, just to take some of the harshness off her face. Now the lighting in this photo is actually just coming from a window. It's just a natural light coming through a window, so it's nice and soft anyway. But we're just bringing those highlights down just to reduce it a little bit. The shadows, I'm going to bring those down quite a bit as well. And then similarly, I'm going to bring the blacks down a touch. Now, texture and clarity, I'm not really going to touch. It's not something I'm really looking to do much of in this photo. We're not going for a super sharp, super, texture-y or clarity one. They can look a bit weird. So we're going to leave those alone. And this is where we're going to do our first thing to kind of evoke the mood here. So I talked before in the moody photography video about color playing a big part in the mood. Now, I don't want to just desaturate it. If we have a look at what that looks like, if I just bring the saturation down, it just kind of looks a bit, well, not great. So if I leave the saturation where it is, but I bring the vibrance down, that creates, for me at least, that creates a very interesting image. It's kind of desaturated, but I just really like it. I just really like the look of that. Next up, and this is where we're going to make a big change to the look of this image, we're going to use the tone curve. Now, we've not really explored the tone curve that much in previous videos, but when you're editing in Lightroom, there's a couple of different ways you can approach the tone. In fact, there's a few different ways you can approach the tone curve. We're going to approach it in one particular way, and then at some point we'll do a video all about the tone curve as well at some point. So let's do a couple of different things here. Now, if your tone curve on Lightroom doesn't look quite like this, just in the bottom right where it says here, you can actually click that. Yours may look already like this, but if you click it again, if it's like this, then you can actually go on and set points on the curve. Control Z to undo. In this situation, we do want to create 3 points. Now we want to create one in the middle, which is going to roughly be sort of where our midtones are. One up here, where these lines intersect. That's going to control our highlights. And then one down here, where these lines intersect, which is going to control the darker parts of our image, going to control the shadows. Now, right at the bottom of the line, down here in the bottom left, that is where the blacks are. That's where the deepest blacks are. And then right at the top right, we've got the whitest whites right up there. So we can actually drag those around a little bit. If I drag things like that, you kind of don't see much of a difference because there's not much in there. But if I drag the blacks around, that's going crazy because there's a lot of darkness in this photo already. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to drag the shadows down a little bit because I want to darken this up just a touch. I'm also going to drag those midtones down a touch as well. And then I'm going to actually bring, right down here where the blacks are, I'm going to bring that up a little bit. Now, this is how we're going to create this slightly faded kind of film look. Look how much of a massive difference that has made. Now, you can see because I've got these different points, I'm only actually affecting the line up to the next point, which means that I'm really just bringing the blacks up as opposed to the shadows as well. And what that's doing is it's making the blackest part of the image, so the actual pure blacks, are now getting lighter, which means that in the image, when you look at it now, there's no pure black. The darkest color it'll go to is like a dark gray. And the higher if I bring that up even further, the higher you raise it, you can bring it all the way up to white if you want to. Obviously we don't want to, but it demonstrates the point of how this works. Now by bringing that up a little bit, we've just kind of added that slight fade, that slight kind of, it's like a faded film. That's the only way I can really describe it. It's a little bit like shooting on film. And I really, really like it, especially for this kind of image. Now let's come down to the hue and saturation. Now with the oranges, I just want to bring that down a little bit just to help out her skin tones a tiny bit. Similarly with yellow, my lights just change by themselves. Interesting. To be honest, there's not a lot of other color in this photo, but I am going to go into saturation and I'm just going to bring the oranges up just a touch because I basically want her skin tones to be okay. I'm just going to bring the hue up of the orange a tiny bit. I want her skin tones to be okay, but I want everything else to be somewhat desaturated, which we did with the vibrance. But I am just going to dial in a little bit of orange into the highlights because that's going to affect her face a little bit. And then with the shadows, I'm going to pop a little bit of blue in there. Honestly, I just like to do that. I just like the look of that. But it kind of gives the slight look that I'm going for here. Now, if we scroll down, there's not much more I really want to do. I'm probably going to just pop a little bit of vignetting on there. And then right down at the bottom, I might adjust the calibration just a touch, just to give it a slight color grade. And really, that's probably all I'm going to do. Now, that's going to be the bulk of my edit. I might then mess around with a little bit of using the adjustment brush. Let's click that on the top right, double click effect to reset everything. Let's come up here just with a little bit of exposure. I might just paint that onto her eyes, just to see if I can bring those out at all. Let's look done. I quite like that. It just brightens them up a little bit. Ultimately, if we have a look at the before and after, so this was the before, this is how it was taken, so somewhat exposed for the highlights. The idea being that it was going to be kind of a moody photo, and I knew I was going to affect it in post anyway later. And then this is what we got to after. So you can still get the detail from her face. You've still got the eyes there, which is really nice, but you've got that nice faded film look. Really, everything other than just the brighter parts of her face is brought down into shadow. I like it. I really, really like it. I think it gets the mood across of this photo. So that's really just a look into how I would edit a photo like this, how I would look to get the kind of final look that I was thinking of when I took the photo. I think that's interesting. I think it's helpful. Hopefully you found something in that quite useful. If you do have any questions about anything you've seen in the video, pop it down in the comments below. If you have any tips yourself for kind of getting that moody edit, pop them down there as well. I love reading through those. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe as well if you're new to the channel. Of course, there's content every single day through to the 24th, and then tutorials every week, reviews, all kinds of stuff, all the time, forever. I will see you tomorrow. Ooh. Am I getting through these videos? Yes, I am. Ooh, yes, I am. And as always, thanks for watching.